that time of week once more. For Muji and Dan to give you the comic store, it's time to open up those bags and boards, fans. Welcome to Get Your Pulls.
Welcome to Get Your Pulls, number 111. Toddless Pod. I'm Mooch.
I'm Dan.
It's Jake.
It's not Todd. He's not here. Not today.
A three-legged table will not stand, but this table, by God, we're standing at least for now.
Yeah, we have some, the fourth leg we're just holding up with some Convergence books. It's okay. Trying to get some use out of them.
Well, we had, I know you can't see it, this being the audio world, but we have a giant hole in the PoddyHumor Studios roof. It's somewhat delayed the Get Your Pulls podcast. It's been about 2 months since we've been here on the air, so glad to be back. And
A lot has happened.
A ton has happened. Fuck, so much.
Yeah, all the shows are gone. They're coming back soon.
They're coming back.
Everything's been crazy. Obviously, big spoilers if you're not watching things or aren't up to speed on things. But watch Jessica Jones, which is arguably better than Daredevil. It was another great, great Marvel Netflix. What is so crazy? One of the things that's so crazy to me is that for some reason, people are really get bummed out on the fact that it seems like DC's movies are going to be darker. But Marvel Netflix shows are by far the darkest comic things going, but everybody seems to love them. But they've been really good. Jessica Jones, really, really good. I'm not going to say what happened to the villain at the end, man, but he's so good that I really want to see more of him.
Yeah. Definitely. Like David Tennant from Doctor Who fame as the Purple Man.
Oh,
yeah.
Simon Kilgrave. I mean, holy fuck. He was nails
great.
It. Probably him and Vincent D'Onofrio have been the best two Marvel villains in the cinematic continuity. And both of them on the Netflix series.
Yeah, both of them great. But that's been great. And Luke Cage was also in it. Gets me really pumped for the Luke Cage, for any more future Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage was totally badass.
Yeah, he was great. The way they introduced all the characters was really good. I really like that. Flash has been really great, of course. Probably the best superhero. The closest, even though I hear Legends of Tomorrow may beat it in this respect, The Flash is the closest comic show to a comic. Like everything that they do, all the out there stuff and stuff feels like reading just a monthly comic, and it's great. And of course, really good. The big thing that happened, the introduction of Wally West to The Flash. Yeah,
that was pretty major, and I just love that show so much. I think it is my favorite show of the superhero genre. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Arrow continues to be good.
Arrow, what a season finale on Arrow. Again, spoilers, if you haven't caught up on the recent movies or TV, you might not want to listen, but a huge cliffhanger at the end of Arrow. Really? Of course, at the beginning of the season, we find out, are you watching it behind?
I have not. I've watched the first couple episodes and haven't got to get back to it.
Oh, okay, cool. So you'll by the time you're that balls deep into it, you'll totally forget.
The internet, I'm sure, will tell me all about it anyway.
So at the beginning of the season, in the first episode, there's an epilogue at the end of the episode. It says 6 months later, which is approximately
which is about to happen.
The normal season time. Yeah. So 6 months later, from the debut, Oliver is standing at a graveside crying. And it doesn't show you who the grave is, and it doesn't give you
show you anybody else.
Any more hints.
So Oliver's obviously not going to die because he's the Arrow.
Yeah. And so all season long, they've been teasing somebody's going to die.
And then they kind of let it go away for a while, so you kind of forgot about it.
And then in the last episode, they get attacked. Felicity gets shot.
What?
And the last image of the episode is him holding her bloody body in the street, like
Superman, Supergirl style from Infinite Crisis.
Yeah. So, but we don't know. She got shot. He's holding her. That's all we see. It's not like
I feel like Felicity's not going to go down, but I like that they left it that way. Already a lot of angry response online because because there's a lot of Felicity fans.
Because it's the internet, and they're always looking for something to be angry about.
A lot of people trying to write the TV show because that's what the internet does now. But yeah, that's been great. The The preview for Legends of Tomorrow makes it look good. I've heard from a bunch of people, the people who have seen it already, that like it's like a comic book crossover event in the best kind of way is like what they're describing it as. So really excited for that. That's happening, next week?
Yes, it is. Next week, DC is doing a special DC week on the CW. Monday night, we're going to get an hour and a half making of special of Batman versus Superman, Road to the Justice League, something to that effect. We're going to see a lot of cool stuff about, and really was something they've kind of kept the wraps on a lot of this information. So I'm excited about it. I think they did. Yeah. We think we saw a little too much in the next trailer, but I'm still confident this movie's going to be great. Like the last trailer did kind of tone my excitement down a little bit for it.
Oh, really?
But
it was just a weird trailer.
It was a badly cut trailer, in my opinion. Like, and I'm no fucking film expert. So I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I have no qualifications to give that opinion. This is just this Joe Schmo fuckboy watching the show.
It was just some lumped together scenes that like didn't really tell anything new. And the first trailer was so good that like the second trailer was very underwhelming in comparison to the first trailer.
They've got a lot of people also wondering how they're going to cram all of the advertised things into the movie. And I think they will. I think they'll do a good job. But it's a bit of a concern. Like there's a lot of stuff that's going to be.
I mean, we know for sure there's going to be Doomsday. Obviously, Luthor's the main bad, but we know for sure there's going to be a Doomsday from the trailer. And now there's even a rumor that Bizarro is going to show up at some point in the movie as well. Which is going to be the catalyst for why they do the Justice League for some reason because of him. So we'll find out.
I've heard that also it could be Darkseid. Like Bizarro and Darkseid are the rumors that the big bad will be.
Well, I mean, either way, that's a whole lot of wind. No matter what.
Yeah, so we'll find out a lot in that. I think Kevin Smith is hosting one of the things there. And another big cool news too is they said Kevin Smith's going to be directing an episode of Flash later this season.
I did hear that.
So that seems pretty great.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah, that's I love. They've really cracked the nut with those shows. I mean, even with Supergirl, the same production team, even though it's a different channel. Like, I mean, debut of fucking Martian Manhunter was pretty exciting.
No, that was great. Yeah.
You know, I've not watched every episode of the show because the way I view it is like I can watch it on CBS at night, but I usually have shit going on, so I try to go back. I've missed a couple episodes here and there, but I had to go watch the Martian Manhunter episode, and it was fucking amazing.
I missed a few. The wife's following it all, things, so she's kind of keeping me. I don't get home till late on Mondays.
I like that show very well. I would prefer Jimmy Olsen not to be a hunk because he's Superman's little dorky friend Jimmy Olsen, but whatever. That's my only gripe about the show.
It's like, what, you mad because Jimmy Olsen's black? Not really. I can care less about that, but, he's not supposed to be, like, super fucking stud.
Yeah, he's too damn good looking.
I didn't know that Kara was supposed to fall for Jimmy Olsen. Yeah. Like, relatively, like, I mean, if you're just comparing general attractiveness, he's probably the more attractive of the two. I mean, she's a pretty girl, but, like, this is this big, dashing, like, hunky dude, like, I'm sure chicks are swooning over him. And Supergirl's like a beautiful girl, but, she's presented in a very... every girl type persona. So she's not supposed to be the traditional Supergirl that's like a drop dead gorgeous 10.
Yeah, they don't
she's very pretty, very pretty girl. And it's very superficial for me to say, but it's a comic image laden business. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, but yeah, it's just so weird. But anyway, it's a great show regardless.
It's great.
Yeah, it's been really good. Walking Dead. I was going to say the name Negan and leave it at that.
Oh, man, yeah. The shit's about to go down. If you're tuned in February for the return of Walking Dead and you're not familiar with the comics, just know shit's about to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's about to be a lot of really terrible shit happen, I'm sure. So that's really exciting.
Well, that show's like gold anyway. Like, I can't think of like a bad episode of like Walking. Even though I think there's been like some slower episodes, but they're still always friggin' good.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been episodes like, I guess in the comic, sometimes it's more like, it's easier to digest because the comics are like once a month. So sometimes when the comics are slow, it's okay. The TV show, I mean, sometimes it is slow, but it always ends up picking back up. That's why I don't watch The Walking Dead weekly. Like, I generally wait for 3 or 4 episodes to watch. So just in case, it's one of those.
They do like to do a lot of that, give you a piece of the story, then go to the other side of the community and see what's happening for the whole next episode.
I don't have it in me to wait and just watch it all like on Netflix, but I feel like that would be the best way to watch The Walking Dead would be to be able to stream it. Because, I mean, every once in a while you would miss out on those giant cliffhangers, but every once in a while when you watch the episode, you're like, that was okay, but nothing happened. if you wait and watch 3 or 4 at a time, usually you're going to get to see some shit happen.
Yeah, pretty well.
But it's very good, and the way that they do it is going to make it last as long as they want to, because instead of because really, you could take The Walking Dead, the whole comic series so far, and probably make it into like 4 or 5 3-hour movies and get most of the main shit out of it, but the way they do it on TV is definitely the better way to do it, the slower episodic route. And it's the most watched fucking show there is, so obviously they're doing it right.
Yeah, it continues to deliver.
What did you guys, on a side note, what did you guys think about that Fear the Walking Dead?
It was okay.
It was okay.
I didn't think it was, I heard some people like were hating on it. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's not
It
the
was
main
cool,
show,
it's just so different.
Yeah.
It's very different. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're looking at a totally like different background with it being at the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. I found it as a huge nerd for The Walking Dead and been a fan of the comics since it was nothing. You know, it was not a big deal. I like it. I like that we're getting just more like backstory of what happened and shit like that. You know, I like the actors not as like high
the
grade
casting I don't think was
as the other show, but I think it's it's fine for what it is. Like it's a nice little supplement to give people their Walking Dead fix during the off season.
Okay.
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a few shows coming out. We've got Preacher coming out. Still excited for it, even though, we talked about before the podcast. It gets you a little bit squirmy when it seems like they're defending things they've changed before the show comes out. I mean, obviously, a huge part of Preacher is the word fuck, and that's not going to happen on AMC. I mean, they can, do some different things to like change that up. Because, I mean, the Walking Dead comic has a lot more like use of language and stuff that they along with, which is a big thing for Negan too, who's coming out. Like a big part of Negan is he's got about the dirtiest mouth in comics. So are they going to be able to do that right without saying the way he is? But a lot of the stuff they talked about on Preacher, I'm going to take the wait and see approach. But a lot of things they've said on it is just like, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's a little disconcerting. I'm holding out hope, but like you say, when they're coming out of the gate trying to defend stuff that they've done, it's like, it's not a good sign. Like certainly the trailers don't feel like Preacher to me, but I was say it might not be a great show because AMC has some great shows, but I don't know that it's going to please the comic book fans, and that could be dangerous for them.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, newest. Fuck, I had a thing I was going to say now. Oh yeah, Deadpool. Latest Deadpool trailer. If you weren't already sold, super pumped on it. Also, some of the greatest marketing I've ever seen. I don't know if anybody's seen, but go check it out online. There's a giant billboard in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah.
That for Deadpool, it's got, what does it have? It's got a what's on the sign?
There's several. There's one that's just all emojis. That's a skull, a turd, and an L.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
And then there's another one that makes it look like a romantic comedy, which is like showing like him with his love interest in the movie, like, and it's like Deadpool, and it's like got like flowers and shit behind it. So very excited about that. That's kicking off right here next month, and the biggest comic book movie year on record. And just coming out of Star Wars entirely taking over the world. Now, we're going to talk about Star Wars in a couple weeks here on the show. When Todd is back, we're going to dedicate a whole episode to just going balls deep into Star Wars, The Force Awakens. But general thoughts, of course, we predicted it was going to take over the world. Who didn't? But it did.
Yeah.
Probably more than I even expected or hoped for. And I'm so happy because we're now to the point that people are pissed off that Star Wars exists. Like,
Now it's like, I feel like now, like I said, we're going to go in depth about it. I mean, reactions loved it. That I would have been okay with a decent Star Wars movie because the last three were just, were just so awful and didn't do it for me. This one was so good that I even it made some of the stuff in the prequels better, I feel like, and which I could go more because I thought about that a lot. I'll talk about that when we go crazy in depth on Star Wars.
Well, if you watch the Clone Wars all the way through, you can kind of add to that because it also was something done very well with the prequel material to show that it wasn't the characters, it was just for
a while my big thing with the Preacher is like if you just told someone the story of the prequels, they would say that's great. Yeah. Unfortunately, Lucas wrote the dialogue and he didn't let somebody else direct it. And all of his greatest movies were he came up with the idea. He's one of the greatest idea men of all time. Star Wars wouldn't exist without him. But he comes up with the grand idea, and he comes up with this is what we're going to do in it. Somebody else fills in the details, that's the best way to go.
Absolutely.
But loved it. Before it came out, I was like, this is going to be the biggest movie ever. And so far, it looks like it's going to be. It's already the biggest movie in the United States ever. Worldwide, it's creeping up already. It's already a top 5 movie worldwide.
It will be because of the pace. Like that's the thing that's staggering. They were like, well, I read an article. They're talking about, well, I don't know if it's going to catch Avatar or not. Like some article was talking about that because they made such and such. And it's like, yeah, that was during their entire run. They were 18 days in at this point, and they were right about to catch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy popular. It's had pretty much overwhelming, like, positive, like, reviews. And
it was nothing but positive for like 2 weeks. And then people... then the haters started coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that stuff. I mean, I feel like a 19-year-old version of me could pick apart some of the movie if he wanted to. But this version of me that just went into it going, I really want to like this movie. Like, I'm not going to look for reasons to not like it. You know, it's fucking Star Wars, so if shit happens that doesn't make sense, like, I'll deal with it because I've already, like, let myself believe. Yeah, they're in fucking space like a really long time ago. Like, fucking, who the fuck cares if shit happens that, like, doesn't really make sense? I mean, I've tried as an adult to just judge movies based on how I fucking feel watching them and when I leave the movie. And I haven't been that happy in fucking forever. Yeah. More than any Marvel movie that's come out. Probably the last time that I walked out of a movie that pumped up and it was a different feeling, but just of like, that was great, was when I watched The Dark Knight. When it comes to like a movie like this, like, it's been that long since I like was just this completely overjoyed, and it was way better than like I'd hoped. I would have been a decent Star Wars movie would have been enough. If they could have started off decent, it would have given me the hope that they're all going to be good. Like, this one was really, really good. When I walked out of it, I was like, maybe this is the best one. And then I had a little bit more time to think, and I was like, maybe it's the third best one, but it's really, really, really good, and I'm really pumped for everything that's coming.
It was childlike joy. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if any movies ever made me feel like that going into the theater.
I was definitely
as an adult, no, yeah.
Because I waited a few weeks to go see it because of all the hype. I thought, well, let me, before I go plop down a lump of cash to take me and the wife to the movie, let me see what happens. Everybody loved it, and I thought, it can't be that good. And then I went and saw it and walked out, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I could never see another movie again, and I would be okay with it. It was that good.
Yeah, they just got everything about Star Wars right. It felt like Star Wars. It looked like Star Wars. It had the sense of adventure that you could just get lost in it. And, like, when you come out of it, your religion is the Force, and you're going to go find an old man to fucking train you in the ways. Like, I mean, I'm still looking for my fucking Jedi Master, by the way.
Where's that bearded Mark Hamill?
Padawan for hire, right here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we live in the real world, and if you found somebody like that, they eventually would probably try to get you to touch their dick.
Or drink the Kool-Aid, or the punch, drink the punch.
Yeah.
Drink this punch.
That's what we'll leave it at that, but we all loved it, and we'll
Hey, if they can move a fucking spaceship with their hands, I'll touch their dick.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You're going to switch sides on us, man. I'm worried about you.
But there was one person that really hated it that I feel like you had something to say about.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Fucking Max Landis, this guy. Like, now to preface this, like, I read the Superman American Alien first 2 issues, and I really liked them. Like, I thought, okay, well, at least the guy is backing up the shit he talks with some talent. At least for, like, he could write Superman in 2 issues. That's all I know about that.
Yeah, he's a pretty decent. I mean, he wrote Chronicle, which was a decent movie. Like, he's a decent screenwriter and stuff. But he's also the son of John Landis, and as you're probably going to talk about, he also seems to really, really seem like a spoiled brat of a rich dude sometimes.
Yeah, he's a big hater. Like, and I hate that word hater because it's like it's.
If you criticize anything, no matter how valid, you're a hater.
Exactly.
You could be like, this fucking hamburger has red meat in the middle. It might kill me, and be like, you're a hater.
But when I say that, I mean someone who was looking for a contrarian reaction just to have one. And he often writes these rage-filled blogs about various Marvel and Star Wars, fanboy shit that he could do better. Like, and that's how it always comes off. Like, hey, this is how I would have done it. This is how I would have done it. And, of course, he wrote a giant blog shitting all over Star Wars. Not like he didn't like it, he thought it was good as everybody thought. He hated it. He actively hated it.
And there are a lot of people there. I mean, there are some people that really do. And some other directors I've seen that really do. I think Remender really hates it. He didn't give some exact this is what I'm bitching about, but he did some he threw out some tweets the day after Star Wars. It was oh yeah, it was let's just have the same story over and over and a bunch of scenes that go together that really don't tell a bigger story but just rely on nostalgia. That's what we should do in every movie now. So a lot of people, there's some people that hate it.
Yeah, and it was just fucking to me it comes off as sour grapes, especially because if you look at political motivations, Josh Trank is his best friend.
Yeah.
And Josh Trank got fired off of one of the Star Wars movies for being a fucking asshole.
For being an asshole, apparently during the making of Fantastic Four. They just didn't want to work with him again.
So I kind of feel like the Viritol in Max Landis' response, and he's entitled to his opinion. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
If you I like what I like. I'm confident in that. If you don't like it, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I like what I like. I
feel like there's a really big difference between criticizing something because it's bad and criticizing because you just don't like it. And I read the same thing you did, and I felt more of it was just he just didn't like it. I've always said this, and it's true with movies too, and you can say it with music or anything. You can be I can see why everybody loves this. It's not bad, but I just don't like it. There's things that bother me about it, so I don't like it. That's more of if you don't like Star Wars, I feel that's more of what you can do. You can easily say, it's too close to the first movie. I don't like that. I don't like that.
And real quick, the same people, you could probably line them up by the goddamn number. The same people that said it was too much like the fucking first movie were the same motherfuckers that hated the prequels because they were not enough like the original trilogy.
Exactly. So, there's some valid points to where if you're just I don't like, because there's been movies I've walked out of that I fucking didn't like that it seems like everybody else liked, and I was just I was sitting in the movie, and I was just I just thought it was dumb. I just couldn't help that I didn't like it. I went and saw, I guess it's not overwhelmingly loved, but the first Thor movie, when I went and watched it, I was this is okay, but a lot of the stuff in it I don't think is good, but it seems like most people like it, so it's completely, anybody's opinion, that's the thing about movies, music, anything, anybody's opinion is completely valid, but, a lot of times, especially when you saw the way he was writing stuff, it's really easy to see when somebody has an agenda.
Yeah, I was gonna say it just to me it felt like so much more than a guy that just went to the movies and watched it and didn't like it. Mm-hmm. It definitely felt like a guy that had an agenda, and I think it ties in kind of in a political manner. But anyway, like I said, not to just shit on the guy. I don't know him personally. I got nothing against him. But it just...
Yeah. I generally don't give a shit.
It makes me laugh.
I generally don't give a shit what critics think because it's their job to they can't like everything. So and almost all of them have their opinions and they're pick and choosers. But I do like to see what other directors and stuff like that think. And it seems like all the ones I really like love it. Fucking Spielberg said it's one of his favorite movies of all time. Steven goddamn Spielberg.
I was gonna say, he's got some cred.
His opinion counts more than any of these other motherfuckers.
Yeah, I compare Star Wars very much to a wrestling match because it's a situation where they made the biggest mass appeal movie. They did not make the movie to necessarily cater to. They gave service to the hardcore fans, but they didn't make it just for them. It was a broad appeal movie, meaning you could sit there and pick apart it wasn't a 5-star match. Did Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant have a 5-star match at WrestleMania 3? No, but they put 90,000 people in the fucking Superdome who hung on every move they did.
But it was a fucking event, and that's why you loved it. That's why you still want to go back and watch it because of the excitement around it. I know, dude, Star Wars was very smart because what they did, and I think a lot of people can't handle this. There's a lot of people that didn't like it. There's this idea now, people don't understand episodes when it comes to movies. Everyone thinks that every single film, if it can't stand on its own as a great movie, if you can't go into it without watching any of the rest and love it, then it's not great. I feel like Star Wars did a combination of those. I feel like my fiance didn't like the old ones. We watched them. She has trouble with anything that were special effects. She's a little younger than me. When it's old special effects, she just can't get into it. She watched the ones with me. She was like, They're okay. I don't see why people are so into it.
Sure.
Love this one. Came out of the movie. She's like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I mean, that's one person's like reaction to it. But I feel like this movie it's why it's making so much money is it did the combination. It catered to the people that have watched Star Wars forever. It did have a lot of stuff that relied on nostalgia. You know why? Because the fucking nostalgia exists. It's not a bad thing to say, we're going to do some things that if you've seen the other fucking 6 movies and 1,000 cartoons and read the 1,000 comics, this might mean a little bit more to you than it does everybody else. Plus, they introduced all these new fucking characters with their new, like, stories that if you hadn't seen a Star Wars movie before, you could see those people and be like, oh, I like them. Mm-hmm. And you didn't have to know everything. I guarantee you, if you'd never seen another fucking movie ever, they did enough in their few lines of, you're Han Solo, you're one of the most famous people ever, you were a general, no, you're a bounty hunter, blah, 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 blah. If you have a fucking brain cell, you got it. You were like, oh yeah, I get it. This guy's important. He's like an old important, he's an old important guy. I mean, and yeah, that movie played a lot. One of the biggest complaints, it played a lot off the fact that everybody knew about it. But everybody fucking knows about it. Everybody knows who fucking Darth Vader is. You see that helmet, you didn't need a fucking 30-minute scene of why it's important that his helmet's there. You live on planet Earth, so you're like, that's Darth Vader's helmet.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole generation of people my age who developed their fucking moral code from Star Wars, and then there's people who've never seen it. My wife, I tried for years to get her to watch Star Wars. She grew up with the prequels. She likes the prequels, actually, but she was not a big fan. She's like, they were okay, fun movies from when I was a kid. Yeah. Tried to get her to go back and watch the originals. She tried to watch them. She fell asleep most all the time.
Yeah, same thing with my fiance.
Took her to this one, loved it, now has become a total Star Wars nerd, where she kind of converted me to Harry Potter fandom over the years. Like, I have now converted her to Star Wars fandom, and it's an awesome thing.
It's a beautiful marriage.
And it's a funny thing, too, because we're not even the generation that grew up. It's people a little bit older than us even that grew up with Star Wars. I mean, I was born in 1983. That's when fucking Jedi came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up with them. They were some of my earliest memories. Yeah. I never saw any of them in the theater on their first run. I did see the very first televised airing of Star Wars, later changed to A New Hope, but then it was just called fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
In 1983 on CBS, when I was 3 years old, they aired it on Christmas, and that was one of my earliest memories of anything like sci-fi, crazy, and like Chewbacca fucking just mesmerized me at that age. And then started getting the toys for Christmas. Like the next couple of years, I got we got HBO.
Yeah, I had Star Wars toys before I'd even seen the movie.
And so I've been a Star Wars fan since I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a fucking huge deal.
I didn't pick up Star Wars till a teenager. Like I was a really late bloomer. Like those came out when I was a kid. I think my uncles hated them, so that was just a thing. They were like, "No, that's stupid. Star Trek's cool, but Star Wars is stupid. It's all like Star Trek." And Indiana, it's still my favorite trilogy of all time. First 3 Indiana Jones. But I never got into it. Then as a teenager, it was like before episode 1 came out, Dan was like, we gotta go see it. And I was like, I guess I'll go watch those. And I was like, oh yeah, these are like some of the best things ever. But I mean, the special effects were already super dated by the time I saw the movies.
Oh yeah, the tauntauns, fucking claymation.
I don't know. I mean, I still watch them, and it's the old special effects. And yeah, it's not.
Like I still love them.
They're still good.
Dude, those are things though that grow. That's the thing that I've determined because I've gone back and tried to watch some other movies I didn't watch. Now that I'm 30, that like I didn't see back then, and I think they look dumb. And I feel like as we get older and our eyes get worse, those things just stay the same to us. Like the first time you see a movie, you pretty much see it that way for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, and like I mean, they tried to go back with the special editions, and it just made them worse. They would have been better to stick with the old ones. It stands
out so stupid, man. When they fucking in the first movie, anytime they throw in like some like little cut scene with some special effects, you're like, dude, this looks so out of place. Like it looks like it just popped to like a screensaver from like Windows 95. That's what it feels like. It's like I'm watching this movie. Oh, there's a screensaver of some stormtroopers. Oh, there's some sand troopers walking with some really shittily like cropped in fucking monster that does not belong in this fucking movie.
Speaking of, I'm hearing that we're finally going to get an announcement in the next few weeks on the Blu-ray releases of the unaltered cuts, finally, which are coming to...
You know it's going to happen because Disney is all about that cash, and they're like...
Oh, they know how to make it,
There's already money set aside for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's already in the budget.
Yeah.
It's like my comic budget.
I've held out on the Blu-rays because I want that version.
It's all finally
doing. But I guess it's probably enough Star Wars talk since we weren't going to talk about it for hours. We talked about it for about
This was just the quick preview.
Yeah, this
Exactly.
was the quick preview. Like we were just talking about the reaction to Star Wars mainly. Like we didn't go into anything about the movie itself hardly. So that's all going to be a whole episode.
But Christmas happened while we were gone.
Oh yeah, it did.
Everybody get some sweet nerd Christmas gifts.
Best adult Christmas ever.
I don't know. I got some sweaters.
Yeah, mine too.
I got sweaters. I don't. Yeah.
Oh well, me and Dan will gloat.
Yeah, I was about to say it's funny because the Star Wars mania is just at a fever pitch, and like literally, I know 5 to 10, 30 to 40-year-old men who just relived their 10-year-old Christmas again this year. That's what I did.
Yeah. So I finally upgraded to a new system. Got an Xbox One. I'm always generations behind on. I'm always a few years behind on video games.
Yeah,
and I'm usually behind on new games too, but I had to get the Xbox One so I could play fucking Batman from last year because it was just killing me. And then my fiance went above and beyond and got me Battlefront. So I looked, and so far today I just checked it. And sadly enough, even though I've been at work all the time, I've still managed to play like 28 hours of that game since Christmas. And it came with the most coolest, awesome thing ever. I got a fucking mini fridge. It came with the game. You guys wanted the mini fridge come with the game. Oh, because there was fucking Han Solo and Carbonite on the front door of it.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Yes.
So it's fucking awesome. So yeah, I got that. I got some other little Star Wars themed things. I got some shirts. I got a sweet shirt off of a great website called $6shirts.com. You should check it out. All the shirts are $6. I got one of a stormtrooper fucking stared at the Death Star blowing up, and it says something like, I had friends on that Death Star. There's a tear running down his eye. Yeah, I got a sweet Back to the Future shirt. It's the DeLorean with a Tyrannosaurus Rex with its hands on the front. It just says "Back Too Far" on it.
Nice.
Yeah, I got some cool Star Wars stuff though. I know you got a bunch of cool Star Wars stuff.
Oh, I did. I got the sweet Boba Fett watch. Set my fucking missile launcher out there. Pew!
That's
yeah, and I got a ton of great Star Wars shirts. I got this like fucking awesome Force Awakens like 70s style shirt with like the rings around the sleeves, you know, and like the two-tone color. It's got Kylo Ren in the First Order in the front. All that. Muji showing off pictures of the Han Solo and Carbonite refrigerator that he's lucky that I love him like a brother, or I might be trying to fucking swipe it. But I know I can just go to his house anytime and enjoy the goodness of Han Solo and Carbonite. And the Death Star shirt. That's pretty great. I got a couple great Darth Vader shirts. I got a Galaxy's Greatest Dad Darth Vader shirt, which is pretty awesome. And my wife got me the whole Star Wars Disney Infinity 3.0 set for PlayStation. I got the Twilight of the Republic with Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and Yoda. It's like the action figures that you put on the game base to play with. And I got the whole New Hope set with Darth Vader, Han Solo, Chewie, Luke, and Leia. And I got the whole Force Awakens set with that game and Kylo Ren, Finn, and Rey, and Poe. And so, of course, I've just been like Muji has put in 28 hours. I probably put in that or more on Infinity.
Sweet Batman animated series shirt. Was that a Christmas present?
No, this was a birthday present, actually.
So you got it recently?
Yeah, I do have a sweet Batman animated T-shirt. I got that from the Hot Topic, actually. Nice. So don't burn down Hot Topic, South Park, because at least for now, they're supplying me with sweet shirts. This is a Batman the Animated Series shirt that has every character, or every major character from the show on it. So I really love that.
Speaking of sweet shirts, I caught up with Dan. I got the comic block, which is a great thing for nerds. I know Dan's talked about it on the show before, but I got subscribed to that for Christmas. So it's a few sweet comics every month. You get some sweet shirts.
Should have put that on my list.
I got a nice Batgirl shirt that I know you also got, I'm sure.
Yes. Have you gotten this month's yet? I just got this month. That would be my last one for a while. My subscription runs out. I don't think I'm going to renew right away. This month was a Judge Dredd shirt.
I did get that. Yeah, I got the Judge Dredd shirt, so that came this month. So, yeah, if Dan's is ending, then I'll continue the tradition of reviewing the boxes, because my year just started. So I got that. Not in my
Valentine's Day's coming up, so she might renew it again for that. But as of right now, I've got my last one.
Man, probably what's going to end up being my favorite Christmas gift I don't have yet, because it's they're still making them, so it hasn't been released. But I've always, as a huge toy collector, I really cut down as an adult just out of space. I've been real more selective, kind of gotten into getting like cheaper statues, like the DC statues that are like the Batman black and whites. They're like $50, $60. I got a couple of those, stuff like that. I always talk about wanting a hot toy. me and my buddy Andy, of course, is the co-host of the Midnight Black Mass now, also on the Poddy Humor Network. We've always talked about, we both love toys. I've never bought a hot toy before because they're like $200 or $300, and they're like the greatest, like most well sculpted, greatest likeness, like figures. And it's always been way out of the budget, but it's the greatest Christmas gift of all time that I'll be getting somewhere between now and March. I got a sweet Michael Keaton Batman Returns hot toy on the way.
Excellent.
I'm probably gonna come when I see it. It's gonna happen. I'm not gonna feel bad about it.
No.
But I truly succeeded in my best friend duty because his fiance contacted me and said, I don't know what to get Muji for Christmas. I said, what about a hot toy? And
yeah,
we found that Batman one, and Muji's a happy camper. So
yeah, greatest adult Christmas, definitely.
It'll be hard to top that one. So I don't know. I'm kind of nervous about Christmas next year.
Blu-rays. That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We always have, me and the wife, we have the Christmas anniversary together. So instead of getting a lot of cool nerd stuff, we just went together and bought a new TV. So now when I can't afford to get new Blu-rays, they're going to look awesome.
You're going to have us on that sweet flat.
They're going to look awesome.
Yeah. Well,
I guess we could talk about some comics.
Let's get our pulls. I got a few. We'll run through these. How much time do we have left on the broadcast here? Got about 20, 25 minutes left. So
yeah, we can go quick. We'll go Ringside. It was decent. I got the second issue too. I'll keep it for now. Ringside, if you don't know, it's a book by Joe Keatings with Nick Barber on the art. It's supposed to be like it's the HBO show version of a wrestling story.
Of The Wrestler.
It's the behind the scenes. It's like The Wrestler.
It's very similar to The Wrestler in
so
premise.
far, it is very similar. It's decent, and if you haven't been involved with wrestling or really into it, I think you may even like it more. I've got some dialogue problems with it where it seems like it's written by someone who likes wrestling but has never really been in the locker room. So there's just some things that are said that's they throw out little hot wrestling words like kayfabe and stuff like that at moments where you're like, you wouldn't really say it like that.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Nobody really says in the back of the locker room, nobody's really sitting there and be like, I came up with I wrote this great story for you, and so when you go out there, you got to make sure not to break kayfabe, man. Nobody talks like that. But it's interesting enough to where I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think the guys, they put a hell of an effort in. It's very obvious they never spent any time in a locker room, but I'll give them a pass on that. I enjoyed the book, and if you end up dropping it, I might actually pick it up.
Yeah, and to a book that I have absolutely no problems with because it was fucking awesome. It's The Goddamned by Jason Aaron.
Oh, dude, that book was so sick.
Yeah, reteaming the creative team from Scalps, and it's so awesome. The basic premise of it is it's basically like the Bible, so it's picking up at some point after Genesis somewhere.
Yeah, it's about Cain, and it starts
it's like Cain and Abel happens after that. But it's essentially the story of the Bible, but told really without the Christian viewpoint of it, just it's a historical event.
Interesting.
And if Quentin Tarantino wrote it,
yeah.
Okay.
It's fucking
crazy.
great.
I don't know if you watched on the History Channel, they did something similar. They had a mini-series called The Bible, where they went through the events and basically made it like a movie where they just kind of showed you the events, the major events that happened, like it was an action movie. That's kind of what this is, but it's it's really great. If you like Jason Aaron, this is the most Jason Aaron of Jason Aaron comics he's written in a while. It's really, really good.
Yes, and obviously from the title, if you're religiously inclined, you probably wouldn't pick it up anyway, but it will probably offend you, so don't read it.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely my favorite so far of the new Marvel books I got. I actually dropped Doctor Strange, which wasn't terrible. It's a Jason Aaron book, but it didn't catch me. There wasn't really anything happening in it that I really liked.
Dollars are few. Don't cut it sometimes.
Dude, I love Chip Zdarsky, but it's the same thing in Howard the Duck. It's okay, and they sent me a $6 one and then a $5 book, and I saw the preview for the next month. It's $5 again because they're putting Gwenpool backups in it, and I was like, I definitely can't spend $5 on this book. It's not that good. So, but the one that's definitely surviving and thriving is so far Invincible Iron Man.
Really?
I've loved it so far. It's been really, really great. It's Bendis and then Dave Marquez on the art.
Okay.
It's been really, really good. I've loved so far the story in it. It's been great with Tony and Dr. Doom kind of going back and forth. And then Mary Jane got introduced in issues 4 and 5. She plays a big part of those. I've really, really loved Invincible Iron Man so far.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Kind of, been holding on.
Yeah.
It's what you would hope with a Bendis. Like it's a Bendis book in the best way. You know,
Okay.
like, it's not a bunch of overt filler. At least yet.
Yeah, I mean, in a couple months, will it get mired in crossovers and make me hate it and drop it? It could, but for now, it's really, really good. I feel like that with a lot of Bendis books, man. I loved All New X-Men. If they can just keep from going for the cash grab, his books are the best when they don't cross over with other books. That's what I think about that. And then over my favorite issue of Detective Comics in a real long time, man. The last two, actually, issues 48 and 49. I really think Peter Tomasi has turned this book around to where it's been really, really good lately. I am excited for Batman and Detective. I'm very excited for Bruce to come back and be Batman. The Gordon stuff has been cool, but at this point, I feel like it's overstayed its welcome.
It's running its course.
Right,
Yeah, but I have really liked the last couple of issues of Detective a lot. It's a book that I was really waiting on. Where Action, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to drop. I may not end up with another issue of Action Comics, one that I've had for a really long time, just because it's kind of bored me. Detective was on that verge, but the last couple have really turned it around and really make me like it a lot. What about the best event book there is, even though it's not an event book, it always feels like it is the fucking Justice League. Has been so awesome. Everything about the Dark Side War, even though it feels like it's been going on for months now, which I guess it has been really great.
And even though, that's how you do a crossover, because they spawned 7 crossover books out of this storyline, but you don't have to get any of them to read the main title.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, issues 46 and 47 of the book have been great. Wonder Woman has kind of been cast as in the spotlight of that. And even though the Wonder Woman book was great, there's not really anything else with her in it right now. I tried the David Finch one and didn't love it that much. But this is kind of if you're looking for a really good Wonder Woman story to read, you should check out this. Then we're going to get to my couple picks of the week. First pick of the week, The Fade Out, issue 12, the finale.
The finale,
yes. So good. What can you say? It's Brubaker and Sean Phillips at their best. Great fucking story. I love Fatale. And of course, I love Criminal, man. This might be my favorite overall Brubaker story, man. Everything just ties together so good. It's just a great Hollywood noir story. It's if you like those type of things, if you loved The Usual Suspects, movies like that, this is really great.
They hit it out of the park.
And it's such a satisfying ending to it, too. And it's the ending.
Good.
It's one of those where when it ends, you're this is the only way it fucking could have ever ended. This is, how did I see this is what was going to happen.
Best creative team, maybe in all of comics, in my opinion.
Really?
They knock it out of the park every single time.
It's definitely the best modern comics team that there is, man. Definitely. If you look at the people, if you combine their quality and the longevity of them working together, it's really hard to think of anybody better than them. One of my other picks of the week so far has been Superman American Alien #3, Max Landis. Kind of a shitty attitude to Star Wars, but really good at writing this book here. So I'll just tell you without spoiling everything that happens in it, which, it's not, this is a fucking non-continuity Superman story, so it really wouldn't matter, but in case for people to read it. The premise of this story is that it starts out, you find out that Clark has won a vacation to go. He's won a trip to go on a free vacation, and Jimmy Olsen's giving him shit on it. You of all people won a vacation to go to some Caribbean island or something. And so of course Clark's flying out there, and his little plane goes down. He fucking rescues the pilot, pops up and starts getting yelled at. He's alright, and people start yelling "Happy Birthday." You're what the fuck? He showed up to Bruce Wayne's yacht in the middle of the ocean, and everybody thinks he's Bruce Wayne. And they do a great way of telling the story because he's just, a white dude with black hair that's all muscled up that's around the same age as Bruce Wayne.
He must be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he shows up there, and then he finally learns, he ends up taking, and it's got a bunch of great, cameos, because you got, a teenage Oliver Queen, Sue Dibney, if you know her from being the Elongated Man's girl or wife / ex-wife. If you've ever read, what is it? It's Identity Crisis.
Sue Dibney, yes, she's the one that was raped and murdered by Dr. Light.
Dr. Light. What was it? It was
It is Identity Crisis by Brad Meltzer.
Yeah. Great book there. It's got a bunch of random DC people that you know. And there's Barbara Minerva who ends up IDing him, and so he has a little attraction to this girl, and he basically just explained, they're I'm not Bruce Wayne. She's yeah, I know. I actually know who Bruce Wayne is. They're but almost, he's but it's I actually knew him before he left. but the majority of these people have never seen him. They're like, it's like I think it's his 19th or 21st birthday, so like nobody's seen him since he was 12. Like he always throws these parties to make people think that he's around, and then he just never shows up. It's like you could have showed up here like you could have showed up here green as an alien. They would have bought that you're Bruce Wayne. So he basically gets to act like he's Bruce and take advantage of that on the yacht and hang out. Everybody thinks he's Bruce Wayne, and he's from Kansas, so he gets the crazy experience. And then it's a great, great issue. And then one of my favorite parts is Deathstroke shows up, and he's got like a hit out on Bruce Wayne, and so he shows up to fuck him up, but it's not Bruce, it's fucking Superman. So of course he hits him with his fucking sword that breaks. He's like, what the fuck? And then he gets his ass kicked. And at the very end of the movie, you get this great little thing where you see in the side where you see Son of Bats, and it's like fucking Bruce, it's actual Bruce like doing the splits. He's training, with the League of Shadows. And Ra's al Ghul's like, you need to see this. And he fucking sees Clark, like, pretending to be him. And it's like, I gotta find more out about this kid. It's a great story. It's a great issue of a comic. So, really happy about it. Definitely the best of the American Alien story so far. And fucking thank God for a Superman story that I like, man.
Yeah. So the main
they keep going in and out, dude. DC cannot just keep any sort of momentum on a book. It's like it sucks. Then it's kind of cool. It sucks. I mean, now they've announced that their Superman's going back to wearing his fucking costume and not this stupid fucking jeans and t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
With the 52nd issue, so thank God. So maybe it'll get good again. But that's it. And then I guess overall pick of the week, just because of the craziness of it so far, is going to be the fucking Dark Knight Master Race. Super interested, man. Like,
I love it. I'm
dude,
like, what the fuck am I reading? I don't know, but it's got me glued to every page.
This is my favorite type of Frank Miller stuff. And even though Frank Miller only does some of the art in the books here, it's just fucking out. I mean, it's out there. It's like just a different type of book. It's super violent. Obviously, Andy Kubert tried to kind of mimic the style of Frank Miller to an extent. I mean, he does great art in the book.
He did a really good job.
It's Andy, right? Yeah, it's Andy.
Yeah, it's Andy.
It's hard to keep up with the Kubert.
It's
impossible.
I got a cheat sheet here so I can remember.
Yeah, but it's fucking great. The story so far, I mean, if you follow, I would definitely recommend going back and reading Dark Knight. I mean, obviously read The Dark Knight Returns, but then read Strikes Again, because I think a lot of people kind of forget about what happens in it, because everybody's probably read The Dark Knight Returns 10 times, but you've read Strikes Again once. You should reread it, because then it's going to tie in a lot better, but I've just really loved the book so far, man, and I love the fucking, the
little mini comics are great, yeah.
They've been great so far, too, man. And the second one, I really love this little Wonder Woman book. They're kind of setting up all the characters that are going to show up, obviously later in the story.
Yeah, and you get to see Frank Miller write the Atom and Wonder Woman, which, you didn't really see much of.
Yeah, and he does some of the art in those, tie-in books there. And it's nice to see Frank Miller kind of get, the light under his ass where he's like, no, this isn't even it. He's like, I'm definitely going to do Dark Knight 4. So it's just great that, this version of Batman, we're getting more new stuff. No, obviously not quite the feeling, because Star Wars is just the biggest thing of all time. But kind of that feel of, something where you're like, I may never get any more Dark Knight ever again. Like, you were thought for a while, I may never get any more Star Wars movies again, and that's okay. Fucking all of a sudden, you're like, I'm going to get a bunch more Dark Knight. And I'm fucking very excited about it.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to be brief, but I got a few picks here that I'm going to go over. Of course, tons of comics in the off season, and I just try to kind of cherry pick some of the more recent quality ones here. Pick of the week, staying right over here for just a minute, but we'll start off in the DC universe. That's where the majority of my pulls came from. The Flash, man, the Flash, still kicking ass. One of DC's most consistent books. Still maintains a lot of the look and the feel from the very first issues, going back to Francis Manapul and Brian Buccellato. Obviously, art and stuff has changed, but the storyline has not, and it is tied into everything they've done so far. And even in this issue, the last two, this is like the big finale of the most recent story that we've seen, and you get a little taste. Remember when we saw Future Barry a few months ago come back? You kind of see where he gets that power. The one thing they've done a great job with on this version of the Flash is we've seen his powers evolve so much over time. Like, he learns new shit, just like they done on the show.
Right.
In the book, like, he learns new shit and things he can do with his powers. And, of course, Zoom's big plot here finally unravels. His whole team of super speedsters that he's picked up throughout time falls apart, and, the big blow-off, he finds out more about what happened to his mom.
We get a lot about where Zoom came, the Zoom story, too, if I'm not
mistaken. Yes, we sure do. And his dad gets redemption, and it's just, like, it's such a great payoff issue. Kind of makes me wonder, like, where they're going to go, because this is the issue that's paid off pretty much everything they've been building since issue 1 of the New 52. Yeah. This is a very important couple of issues for The Flash. Definitely want to pick it up. Definitely fucking loved it. You get that book, too, right?
Yeah, Flash. Yeah, I've got it here, too. It's going to be one of my mentions. I figured.
Okay, I can go ahead and talk and say what you're
But, yeah, no, I was just going to, you pretty much covered it. It's just been a great book. I didn't get to read it from the very first. I kind of came in probably 10 or 15 issues ago. But, I mean, it was easy to come into and get into and then get hooked. I mean, it's been really good. I really like the pencils. The art on it's been really good, too.
Yeah.
I think the style, that style fits well with the book and the character, I think. So, I totally agree. It was a really good issue.
Fuck yeah. Then we had Aquaman, 46 and 47. Cullen Bunn wrapping up his run on Aquaman that he quit over negative fan reaction. I didn't think it had been that bad. It does, after all said and done, kind of seem like a holdover story for Arthur, because in this last issue, and there's a lot of credits on this last issue, so I wonder if he maybe just did the storyboard and somebody else came in and filled in the actual dialogue. Because this is the next last issue, and 48 is going to be his last issue on the book and the end of this arc. The Justice League comes in, and pretty much it looks like Aquaman's going to be set back to status quo when Jeff Johns comes back to the book in 49. So, which very exciting to have Jeff Johns coming back to Aquaman, because he's the one that reinvented the book.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. Like, I didn't hate the Cullen Bunn run as much as other people did. You can kind of see what's going to happen unless they throw a big curveball in the next issue, but I'm fine with that. Sometimes it's the best decision to do the obvious thing, and in this case, it definitely is. So enjoyed that. A few comic block picks here that came through the most recent one. Scarlet Witch #1 from, was that James Robinson, the famed British writer?
Yeah.
Very much enjoyed this.
Really?
It was a nerd block pick. It just came in, but it's very much like stripping the Scarlet Witch down.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Back to her roots as a practicer of black magic. So, it's really getting back to the witch part of the Scarlet Witch, and she's separating herself from the Avengers. It's kind of like a crime serial where she's helping somebody out solve supernatural or magic-related crimes. Of course, a couple of good call-outs to Doctor Strange in there. Nice surprise. I may wait and see what the reviews are on that, but that could easily be a trade, because I really enjoyed that a lot more than I expected to. And then we also, from the old nerd block, got Judge Dredd #1 from IDW. Looks like a new relaunch of Judge Dredd. Wasn't crazy about it.
Really?
Didn't like the art style. I read it. Not a terrible story. It's very much in line if you're familiar with any Judge Dredd. It is definitely that.
Yeah.
Not been one of my favorite characters or stories, but not one I hated. Like I could read a good one.
Yeah, I've never been able to get into the comic. Like, I've tried a couple of different runs of it and started out and didn't love it, but goddamn, I love that last Judge Dredd.
Yeah, the last movie was great.
Right.
It was, and so it was not a huge hit, not a huge miss, just kind of there.
Gotcha.
So I did love,
surprisingly for you,
Batman. I'm not a Turtles hater. I'm not a Turtles hater by any stretch. I grew up on the Turtles. I love them. Not a big fan of the recent movies or anything like that. Though the new one looks like they're going to try to right some of the wrongs of the first one. But the Turtles will always hold a special place.
Sure.
But there's so many different iterations and presentations of the Turtles now over the years between different cartoons, comics, and movies. You have very gritty, you have very comical, you have everything in between. This is very much just a by the numbers Batman meets the Turtles story.
Cool.
In all the ways you would want it to be. Like there's shout outs to the first Turtles movie, there's shout outs to some of the Batman movies. It's very much done for somebody who's not following either comic, I don't think. just to like be a cool, like what is it going to be, a 6-issue crossover. So I think I might pick the rest of this up.
Really?
Actually. Yeah, I enjoyed it that much, and it like
it was very cool.
It tickled all the right nostalgia buttons.
Right,
I thought like the "Leave It on the Street" was the best fucking like that popped me so huge. Like, just like from the first movie, the pizza guy comes up and he finds a fucking like a note and some money taped to a street light. And the note just says, "Leave it on the street." And he's like, "Leave it on the street? What? Okay." And he takes it and they fucking come out and get it. Of course, you know. And then some shit's happening with the Foot Clan in Gotham City, and they're trying to fucking like steal some shit. And the Turtles are on their trail. But of course, the people who've been victimized by the Foot just see these freakish fucking mutants come. Right. So like they think they're in on it. Yeah. You know, and so Batman is convinced that the Turtles are like their metahumans that they've got to like enforce their rule and shit. And of course, they run afoul of each other at the end. It was great fun. It was great fun. So enjoyed that a lot. Walking Dead number 149. Big swerve in Walking Dead 149. We really all thought this was going to be the issue where Rick goes to Negan and unleashes him. Because he can't handle the Whisperers anymore. Right. You know, like he's got to go to his worst enemy to try to solve the problem. And in true Walking Dead fashion, they threw a bit of a curveball. Rick does not let him out, but he does have like a come to Jesus with him, like, what would you do? And Negan, you know, basically tells him he's fucking weak, and that's why he's not going to be able to beat him, because he's not willing to go where they're willing to go. And like, you can see Rick's wheels are turning, like all of this new that's been for several issues back to the whole building of the new community and everything, that, you know, we don't kill anymore, there's a better way. Right.
And he decides, fuck that.
He's like, it's not a better way, apparently.
Yeah. Like clearly, like after the talking to with Negan, he realized what he has to do.
I got you.
And great issue. So that was good. My pick of the weeks are going to go in the Star Wars universe, because Star Wars fever still running rampant. First, just got to briefly mention the Darth Vader annual. If you've been reading Darth Vader, great story. Same creative team.
Star Wars annual, also very cool.
Yes, I love that as well. But the Darth Vader annual, it gives you a little more insight into what they're doing in the main Darth Vader book. You get to see Dr. Aphra, BT-08, the C3, or the evil R2-D2, and 000, the evil C3PO. Like, it's like a side mission of just showing off Darth Vader being a goddamn badass. You know, like they go to this community who they're having a political dispute with. The king is resistant to the change of the Empire, but his daughter is more sympathetic, and he's old, and of course she ends up fucking like helping out Vader, and BT and 000 end up murdering like their whole family, and Darth Vader puts her in charge on the throne, and like he's like, you know, what are you gonna? She's like, what are you gonna? I could raise my army and come in here and right now and fucking attack you, even though you killed all the royal court and shit. And he just like a boss drops a piece of Alderaan in front of her and goes like, yeah, that's what happened to the last motherfucker across us. He's like, I'll be back. I assure that you'll be voting towards our favor. You know, like that kind of shit. So it's just a great one-off story, expounding on what they're doing in Vader, the book, with all those great characters. Fucking fantastic. But god damn it, Vader Down is the pick of the week. It's a 6-parter, so a little bit generous for pick of the week, but it's worth it. A lot of questions in the air over the first Star Wars big event. You know, was it going to deliver the goods? Like, what we're going to get sucked into crossover hell, like the main Marvel books often do? And
was there going to be a fucking Jar Jar Binks tie-in that you had?
Yes, I am happy to report. Though, you know, I'd say Darth Vader and Star Wars are essential reading with Marvel if you're a Star Wars fan anyway. Sure, they kept them contained to the 2 primary books, and it was like a little mini fucking Star Wars movie, and it was so fucking good. Like, oh my god, I'm not even going to go to details because Muji hasn't read it. No need to go into details. Just know that Marvel delivered the goods when they needed to very badly.
Yeah, what I've read so far, I've only read the beginning, but it's been fucking great.
Oh yeah,
I have the rest of it. I will leave you with. So those are my picks. Jay, take us home, baby.
Let's see what I got here. I got a few things. Of course, I agree with the other 2 gentlemen here about a lot of the, you know, like the Flash, the Dark Knight. So I'll talk about a couple that I don't think they've been reading. They've been pretty good. I've been following the Dark Tower comic, Drawing of the 3. It's got Peter David as the writer, Jonathan Marks doing the art, and it's been really good. It picks. If you haven't read The Dark Tower, it probably is not going to appeal as much to you because there's a lot of subtle things. But it's still really good, especially if you have read it and you like those books, the actual novels. Pick up this series. It's been really good. It's mostly about Odetta and how she turns into Susanna later on in the book. So it's been really good. I've been really happy with it. You should check it out if you've read the novels. If you haven't read the novels, then you should. Let's see, next here.
I read those. Set away some fucking time to read those.
It takes forever.
They're tough. Like
it takes forever.
You can't read those while you're watching TV. That's a go into a quiet room and fucking read them slowly and pay attention.
Yeah, they're labors of love, but they're worth it to me anyway. But it's been a good book. I know you guys haven't been following it, so I thought I'd talk about that. Flash was good. I've been picking up the Astonishing Antman. It's been really good. I've been really happy with it. It definitely. Let's see. I'll make notes on it. Yeah, it's definitely been living up to what you would expect from it. Now he's teaming up with Sam Wilson, Captain America, and the banter between them is freaking hilarious. So
they got a great thing with Ant-Man right now. I just went back and watched the Ant-Man movie today.
I watched it for the first time like 2 weeks ago. Finally,
and
it was a Christmas Blu-ray.
Upon second viewing, I loved it when I saw it in the theater, but upon second, I loved it even more. It was so different from like what Marvel has been doing. It was something so unique for that genre.
Yeah, well, it's really not a serious. There's a lot more. And the comic is the same way. If you have watched the movie and not read the comic, I'd say pick up the comic because they really capture that.
Michael Douglas is fantastic in that movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was really good casting all around. I mean, Paul Rudd that's not his normal. I think it's Paul Rudd.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge Paul Rudd fan.
Yeah,
I think he's very
normal,
tremendous, like a versatile actor.
Normal thing, but yeah, it was great. And the comic's good too, so pick it up. Let's see what else I've got here. I've been following Extraordinary X-Men as well. Just kind of to see how it's going to go. It's got Jeff Lemire is doing that, and it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it so far. It's got a pretty good team up. It's the team that's actually got the young Jean Grey and Old Man Logan, and then Storm and Colossus and Nightcrawler's in it. Sinister is I don't think I'm giving a lot away. Is the villain they're dealing with right now, and the way they have dealt with him and the little arc they've got going, they just sort of finished it up. It's been really good. I was surprised. I mean, I don't think I hate to say it, it's not like a Dark Knight 3 by any stretch of the imagination, but if you like the X-Men books and you want to check out and see kind of what they're doing now that we've got through all the big event, I'd say check it out. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good.
I'd be more interested in that. Like, I was at a crossroads. They had Uncanny X-Men #1 in my box, even though it was not supposed to be in there because I did not re-add it. It just the prior run ended. Mm-hmm. So I almost took it, and then I saw it was written by Cullen Bunn, and I was like, dude's been so hit and miss. I'm not gonna fucking. I'm not gonna do it.
These. If you want, you can take a look at them.
Yeah,
they've been pretty good. Yeah, they've been pretty good. And actually, probably I will put the most recent one. What was it? Number 5, I believe, was the number on it. I'll leave it as my pick of the week. As typical, when you go last, some of the not better books, but other books get discussed more so. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been good. So I would say, check it out if you haven't got a chance. It's an X-Men comic. You kind of know what you're going to get with an X-Men comic.
Sure.
But, it's been pretty refreshing to read it. I've enjoyed it. We'll see if they keep delivering on it. So I'm going to put that one as my pick of the week.
We made it, folks. 111. All the way through, and another episode in the bag. And now hopefully back with a more frequent schedule. Looking at a bi-weekly schedule for the 2016. So trying to get you more
whoever can do it schedule.
That's right.
Somebody's fucking got a sick girlfriend or sick wife, sick kid. Fuck you.
We don't want to hear it.
We're going to talk about our goddamn comics. Get your pulls.
This has been a production of the PoddyHumor Network. Find us online at youtube.com/PoddyHumor or subscribe to us weekly and never miss an episode by searching PoddyHumor on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you for listening and good night.